Thanks for being here, Chris.
Means the world. You know how it is. Brothers from another mother.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So, for anybody who doesn't know, this is Chris. This is now one half of OM53. But yeah, so I guess we could get right into that. Why is it
Yeah,
one half now? Used to be not one half. Used to be all of OM53, and then
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So as a lot of people know, well, a lot of followers, right? Of Owen 53. Owen 53 used to be a band. So we started out as a band. Um, you know, God decided for it to be a different way, and for the last like year and a half, like almost 2 years, I would say. Um, OM was just me, and it was me trying to pray and ask God for direction to see if, yes, He wanted me to keep doing this by myself because it goes completely against who I am. I'm like a team person, right? Um, and what I felt in that moment was, yes, keep going by yourself. Not that I was gonna stay by myself, but it was like don't let the project die. So I kept going. But during this whole time, there's been some key people that God put in my life during this time that I was really left alone, and one of those is obviously Max. You've been there for me since probably as soon as the other guys left. It was like they left, and you sent me a DM saying, "Yo, I love what you're doing." And it's funny because in that moment, I wanted nothing to do with music. I didn't listen to music for like 6 months. Not even listen. I would just
no
listen to
kidding.
podcasts or any like literally. I wanted nothing to do with music because I went from music every day, 3 times in the studio. Everyone was coming over to the house. We're always writing, always making a bunch of stuff, and to, really grieving that, which obviously we could or not get into that like a little bit later. But yeah, so, through prayer and through time getting to know you, we ended up making the decision that, like let's do this together. Like you're the other half of OM now, and super stoked about whatever we're gonna do together. And I'm just really stoked about whatever's happening right now in this like indie scene. There's some really cool people doing some really cool stuff, and I've lived this. I don't want to sound like an old head, like an unk, but I've lived this before where like those the waves come and go, they come and go. But this one feels a little bit I wouldn't say more, genuine. It just, I don't know, maybe I'm just excited about the type of art that's being made.
Yeah, I think people
Um,
are finally starting to do stuff well again. I think for a long time there's kind of a lull in like, at least in the underground sides of like Christian art, music, etc. I think there was like a lull in stuff that was being done well. And it feels like we're starting to see a return of that sort of thing. I guess talk a little bit. I know you are super close to being like industry insider in the Christian side of the music industry, and then that didn't happen for a number of reasons. So,
mhm.
I mean, yeah, talk a little bit about what that was like, why you decided not to sign, not to get involved on like an industry level.
Yeah, so, I wanna go back a little bit to the beginning of OM, and, basically, I've always wanted to do music, never wanted to do by myself, and, met some of the most special people in my life at a church plant in Rutgers, and one of those person my wife, and we decided to make music together. I've always written songs. I've always wanted to put stuff out there because just like you, I feel like if I'm not creating, I'm like dying. Um, and I really enjoy sharing it. Like I can create and everything, but if I don't get to like share it and like at least see that people are enjoying it, like I feel empty, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It could be both. But you know, we created OM, and I remember that we had started out as a like worship band, like worship, and it was like 4, 5 of us. Um, and the first time that I went to Nashville was in 2018. Yeah, like early 2018 or late 2017, one of those two. But Scott and I went to go visit one of his girlfriend's friends from college, and
Scott
whatever.
was the guitar player.
Scott was the drummer.
Okay.
Scott was the drummer. He's like a brother to me still. Shout out to him. He just had a baby. So shout out to baby Luke. So we went down to Nashville and we were at the Nashville Zoo, and his girlfriend's friend, she's like, "Hey, so my dad wants to go out to dinner with us. He said maybe we can drive to his job, meet him there, and then we can walk to eat dinner." And I was like, "Okay, like whatever, you can walk anywhere in like in the center of Nashville," so it made sense. So as we're driving, like I start seeing like all these big buildings, and it was just a bunch of big buildings and like long like streets, and I'm like, "Oh, that's that label. It says like word." Oh, so we're like at like label row. I don't know what it's called, but all the labels are there.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when we pull up to the building that we were gonna get out of the car, dude, it was Universal. I'm literally forgetting which one it was, but it's the big one. It's huge. So like Taylor Swift was on it, Blake Shelton,
Is it
all the,
UMG Nashville?
I don't know if it was UMG,
I
but
guess
it's
they're not a label; they're more of like a group. But
yeah,
yeah,
it was the big one, like the big one, and the building was huge, and like they're like, all right, oh, you can get out now. So we're walking in, and like as we're going upstairs, like you see like all like the huge artists like on the walls, and we go into the COO's office, and they're all like having cocktails, they're all talking. This lady's literally talking about like the marketing plan for Taylor Swift's like next album. So they're talking about all this stuff, and like I'm like, man, like what is happening here? So her dad starts talking to us and asking, like, what do you guys do? Blah, blah, blah. I tell him, oh, I work in accounting, but I also do music. And he's like, oh, what kind of music? So I tell him, like, I do Christian music. So he's like, well, Nashville is the perfect place for Christian music. This is where Christian music is born. He was like, I got a question for you. What are you bringing to the table? What are you doing that's different, that's going to make you stand out? He's like, because everybody here sounds pretty much the same. And this was back in 2018. Um, so I didn't know how to answer. I didn't know how to answer because we were making worship music, and worship music was kind of like what you made at the time, especially being so connected to the local church in that moment that wanted to make church like their own album or whatever, right? Like every church wanted to have their own album at one point.
yeah. You're talking like Hillsong Bethel
Yeah,
ish,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
CCM worship music. Okay.
Yeah, CCM worship music, and I didn't know how to answer it, and he's like, it's fine. He's like, if you don't know how to answer it, he was like, that's something that you got to go home with.
Yeah.
Like, go home and like figure out what are you gonna bring to the table. So, whatever, we go home. Scott and I are driving back home, and Scott loves video games. He's loved video games. I do too, but like he plays like different video games, and we liked synthwave, and we like gaming was very 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 connected to synthwave, and there was a band called the Midnight at the moment, that they were still pretty like new, and we used to listen to them a lot, and we were just driving home, dude, and by the time I got home I was like, is there any like Christian like synthwave, like is there any? And there wasn't anything, at least no one that called themselves Christian. Maybe there were some Christians making synthwave, but I didn't know. But the point is, I prayed about it, and I was like, God, like, okay, I love synthwave. There is no Christian synthwave. What am I bringing to the table? Well, if there's a group of people that really need to like hear like the Lord, right, in the music, well, the synthwave community is very dark, like it's super dark. It's become kind of poppy, because like mainstream, like say The Weeknd or like Dua Lipa
Mm.
or them have
Yeah.
kind of taken like tidbits of it and like applied it to the pop. But like the core of synthwave, retrowave, it's very dark. There's a lot of demonic stuff. There's a lot of porn. There's a lot of all that stuff. So we were like, wow, like we're gonna be able to like create music for a group of people that love this style of music, but that need to, hear the word of God. And I'm sure there's a lot of Christians that love this style of music, but sometimes could maybe want like an alternative. So that was our thought process in that moment. We prayed about it. And bro, I came home, and within a week, I sat down and I wrote Seasons and Defender. Like those songs just literally came out like this, like boom. And I knew as soon as those two came out, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And OM grew a bunch, dude, from that moment. Like, I'll tell you something, I can't listen to those songs anymore because yeah, like I was so new at producing, at like I don't even think I tuned the vocals like correctly or anything. Like,
Yikes.
yeah, like I go back and I listen to some of that stuff and I'm like, man, like I wish I would have actually tuned it better. But it's, it's the whole thing of not everyone wants to learn in public.
Right.
And I feel like OM's journey has been really just surrendering to God the whole time and learning publicly how to do things. And yeah, sometimes I listen to some of our old stuff and I'm like, man, that's like cringe. But hey, it's blessed a lot of people, and a lot of people still listen to it and really appreciate it. So that's kind of like how it started. Now, as far as the whole industry thing, a little bit later down the line, when the lineup changed, it was Scott, myself, and two other guys, Mike and Spoon. They were bass and guitar, and we all wrote together. We eventually kind of started. I wouldn't say blowing up necessarily, but OM had like close to 90,000 monthly listeners. We were opening up for big acts. We were supposed to open up for Hillsong United, but COVID happened, so they canceled that show. So
At,
we were playing with some pretty decent people.
at this point,
Um,
you had kind of shifted from synthwave into like the indie pop,
yes,
right? Like Boy
yeah, to
Pablo,
indie.
Hers. Yeah.
Yeah. So we already had an album called Junior Year out. And For us, um, when the guys came, they knew that OM always had like a retro thing to it, whether it was, you know, 80s, 70s, whatever it is there's always like a retro thing to it. So, um, synthwave was just not where I was anymore, and synthwave definitely was not where the guys were anymore. And I think we had created some music for the people that needed it, but also like we didn't want to be stuck to having to make something because that's what we
Right.
were supposed to make, right?
Right.
So that's where Junior Year came out. Um, and whatever, OM was in a good spot. So we go down to these labels. We're able to record at Black Horse, no, sorry, Dark Horse studio, and at the other one, which is super dope, Black something, I forget the name. But the point is, we met with like four different labels, and they all liked us a bunch. But we had a conversation, which was, hey, um, we want to work with you guys. We love what you're doing, but can you maybe be 30% more Christian radio? And I didn't even know what that meant at the moment. I was like,
Yeah.
like I know Christian radio, and could kind of tell maybe what they wanted it to be, but I had to ask. I'm like, what does that mean exactly? You know? So they were like, well, um, Christian radio is for like soccer moms and soccer dads. They want to be told that everything's gonna be okay. That God is always gonna be there. And I told them, like, I remember we looked at each other, like the four of us kind of looked, and we all knew that that was bad news immediately because it just was not us. Um, Unfortunately, it wasn't us, and we could have said yes and worked with the label, and who knows where OM would be today if we could be maybe doing this for a living, touring with whoever. Um, but we knew it just was not it for us because we didn't want to have to write happy songs all the time. And they even told us, they're like, no, but like, you can write about a struggle, but then end it with something like God is here now. Those like Star 99.1, like K Love songs that end with this
Yeah.
like triumphant thing. Even if it's like they all start with the same verse. Like, I was down and in the darkness and blah blah blah, but then your light came, and and blah blah blah. That's kind of like what they wanted.
Right.
So I remember I told them, I'm like, hey, look, like, I believe that God's gonna make things like all right in the end. I believe in an eternal hope, but there are some days where like I don't feel that hope. I know the hope is there, and the way I feel does not define, right? Like,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later. But my feelings don't define the truth, but that's how I feel, and I feel like I
Right.
should be able to write that song
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
sometimes people can feel that way. And when you look at the Psalms, like some Psalms don't end in a happy note. Um, that doesn't make God any less good or that He's gonna make things all right. So I came back home and I was depressed for like 6 months. I was depressed because I felt like everything we'd been working for all these years, like, and it wasn't a lot of years, but like the momentum we had, you know, kind of just got shattered. The whole image of Nashville, of the whole thing, and like there were some people that literally, bro, as soon as we said no, and as soon as things changed, like we didn't matter anymore. Like you could see how we were just like a number. We were just like, oh, product. Like they're a
Yep.
product. And like maybe we could make some money off of these guys. And then as soon as we said no, it was like no. Like we used to get text messages of like, yo, like how are you? How's your family? How's work? Like they cared about it, like our spouse, like everything. And boom, no one cares anymore. Um so I mean it's the reality. It's an industry. It's the Christian music industry.
Right.
Like that's why it says industry. Um, I posted a reel not too long ago. No, did I comment? No, I posted a reel. I think I
You
posted a
posted a
reel.
reel with that long
Yeah,
spiel of
mm-hmm.
text on top of it, talking about the
Yeah,
Christian music industry.
and how it needs to change. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a part of it. We're a part of it, whether it's indie, whether it's signed, whatever it is. It's
Right.
the Christian music industry. We're part of it, and I lost some followers, and some of them were like some musicians that were pretty dope. Um, because they are part of you know whatever it is,
They're
but
not independent. They're like involved with
Mhm.
some of the
Some of the
stuff going
big,
on.
big, big labels, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this would have been when you turned the label offer down, this would have been like 2018, 2019-ish.
No,
When was
20,
this?
2020, I think 2021.
Oh, okay. Okay.
21, yeah, I think it's 21 actually, because 2020 was COVID era, so it
Right.
had to be 21. Yeah,
So this was post COVID.
yeah, post COVID, yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting because it seems like COVID produced this whole wave of artists who are able to do the independent thing super successfully. And
Hmm.
it seems like COVID is kind of what began the overturning of the conventional like way that the music industry functions. Like labels are still a thing. Labels still own the industry, but
Hmm.
there are so many more independent artists making really, really good music, really dope content, really cool
Hmm.
branding, and they don't necessarily need a label backing.
Yeah.
So, at what point between uh, the band's like peak and then the label situation falling through did the band breakup happen, or was it after that?
It was 2023. I think it was 2023. I always get 2023 and 22 confused. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about the details of
Yeah, no, that's
of,
fine.
of what of why the guys left necessarily. I think they deserve that privacy. But yeah. Uh, there was no warning. That's all I can tell you. There was no warning. We got signed to Wings. We got signed to Wings, and shout out to them for the support now with this new project that we have out there.
Yeah.
So we got signed to Wings. This was back when Wings, their biggest artist was Jonathan. Can't say his last name. The one with the H. Like these like the biggest like indie Christian artist.
Jonathan Ogden?
Yes, Ogden. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So he was their biggest artist, and then they only had like a few, like no one that was making like indie stuff like this. No one.
This was before Wings had become a consumer-friendly distribution
Yeah,
service like DistroKid,
yeah,
right?
yeah. They didn't even have that Wings Access at the time. So we get signed to them. They were really excited about the style of music that we were putting out because they were like, "Wow, like we don't we have like a band that we don't just have to pitch to Christian playlists. Like
Right.
your music could go anywhere. And they were really excited about that. So we're over here, like, like writing a new album, and we just got signed like 3 months, and no warning. One day, show up at my house. They're like, "Yeah, we're done. We're out of here." And like I said, I'll save you guys the details. But wow, that like destroyed me. It destroyed me. No warning. Again, nothing. Then I kind of had to reset. I really had to reset and kind of pull myself together. And it was a year and a half process to kind of pull myself together. And what was it? July of 2024 was the first song I dropped uh, as OM53 by myself. Um, and it took me a year and a half to get there.
Hmm.
Um,
And that was Letting Go of Yesterday, right?
Letting Go of Yesterday, yeah, which is the title track for the new EP.
Yeah.
Well, not EP, LP.
Yeah, yeah, it's 7 tracks. I learned
Yes, yeah.
just this year apparently that anything more than 6 tracks is an LP, not an EP.
Hmm. Yeah. Hey, you thought this whole time you were like putting out EPs, you
Yep,
calling them EPs?
yep. I put out a 7 track LP last summer, I guess. I've been calling it an EP since I dropped it, but yeah, that's funny. Sick. Yeah, and then I found you through some reel that you had posted. I forget which song it was, but it was one of them that it might have been Cast. It might
Probably
have been,
had to be Cast. That's the one that like did well.
yeah, yeah. Just like, I think you're just kind of putting feelers out looking for other people who loved God, who needed the gospel and who needed to help share the gospel, but who were super over the whole Christian radio, CCM, church music
Hmm.
vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like I wanted to meet people that were into the same music that I was, because like the Christian indie music scene has always been very like Christian worship,
Mm-hmm.
like indie, or there's like CCH, right? Like it's either hip hop or
Yep.
like or very Christian folk. There's like
Yes.
Christian folky. Yeah. There's a lot
Yes.
of Christian folky stuff. But dude, when we put out like junior year, like no one was putting out that type of music.
Yeah.
Even the Get Better EP, like Get Better EP, like you can like it or dislike it, but like there were no Christians putting out that type of music.
Yeah.
And again, like I was like, yo, like where are like my Mac DeMarco fans? Like where are my Kid Bloom fans? Like where are all these people? Because I'm sure Christians like that music,
Right.
but who is making this? I remember this girl Darla was making some stuff that I thought was pretty good. I was like, oh, it's like she's kind of like Claro-ish,
Oh, that's
like she's
fire.
doing that kind of stuff. Um, but there wasn't a big scene of that, and I still think there isn't a big scene. I think
It's
we're
growing.
finally we're finally like seeing some people that are like stepping out and like making some dope stuff, which makes me excited about the
Yeah.
future.
I know, like, growing up, I was only allowed to listen to, like, mostly Christian music. There were a few, like, secular bands that my parents were aware of, and they were like, these guys are okay. But for the most part, it was, like, only Christian music. And my options were, yeah, like you said, CHH, Christian metal, and, like, new
Yeah,
metal. Like, the whole Skillet, Thousand Foot Crutch, Decipher Down, Demon Hunter, that whole scene.
Disciple. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
remember Demon
And
Hunter?
dude, yeah, I still enjoy Demon Hunter. They're going on tour here
Yeah,
soon, and I'm kind of
yeah,
considering getting
Demon
tickets.
Hunter is dope.
Yeah. Um,
Remember Living Sacrifice?
dude, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was like a middle schooler jamming all that stuff.
Yeah.
Back when Pandora was a streaming service.
Mhm.
It was Pandora, and then I had like a little uh, MP3 player, not even an iPod, because we couldn't afford the name brand iPod.
Yeah, yeah. I had a red MP3 player. I don't even know what brand it was. It was just, and I could only have like 40 songs, 45 songs on it.
Dang.
So I'd have to like constantly.
So after you and I kind of got to know each other through Instagram DMs, initially I was just kind of reaching out to you as a producer, kind of saying, hey, I am a Christian. I really love the type of music that you're putting out, and a lot of our influences we would find out are the same artists or very, very similar artists.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I approached it originally as like just a production service type of thing because I had no idea the way that you operated. And we got to be really good homies, got to know
Yeah, I
each
think we
other.
we ended up talking like about anything but music,
Yeah,
like doctrine, conspiracy theories, just life overall, our struggles. Like
yeah,
there wasn't many people that I could talk to in that moment about what I was going through, because I also didn't want to like badmouth anyone. You know what I mean?
right,
And a lot of the people that were like, close to me knew the guys, and I was like, even though I can like tell them what happened, I don't want to badmouth anybody.
right.
So you were kind of like there, and then obviously you had some struggles, and we were able to
Yeah,
like, connect that way.
yeah, for sure. So that happened. Then we kind of took a little break, didn't really hear from each other for a long time.
Had a baby.
Yeah, yeah, that too. And here we are, almost 2 years since we
Hmm.
started getting to know each other, and now I'm a part of 53. It's a duo now instead of a solo act, instead of like a 4 or 5
Hmm.
piece band, and we've got an LP coming out. When is it coming out?
October 17th.
Fire, October 17th.
Hmm.
Um, Subject matter wise, the album deals with a lot of the struggles that you endured after the band broke up. And yeah,
Hmm.
so if you want to dive into some of that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the struggles that I endured during that time were things that were piling up from years and years and years of like not feeling good enough, not like in my craft and as a person, like I was always like, man, like I'm good but not good, like um all these insecurities, imposter syndrome, right? Which again, I've heard about it a bunch of times, but it wasn't until like literally like 4 weeks ago when I looked into it and I was like, man, wow, that's crazy. I got that thing. Um, so letting people down constantly. I'm horrible with like my phone, and like reaching out to family. Like there's just so many different things that like piled up to this point where I was like, man, like I kind of suck. Like honestly, I really suck. And if it wasn't because like God sees me with like his eyes of mercy, like I don't know why like anyone would like me. Like literally, bro, those are like the thoughts that just are going through like my head while I'm like writing lyrics for this project. But really um the whole idea of it is that we struggle with our sinful humanity. We do the things that we don't want to do, as Paul says, and I cannot do them. Like I don't know why, and I'm trying. I'm constantly falling short. Um, but at the end, like God is like saying, "Hey, like yes, that is true. All that stuff is true." But there's the bigger truth, which is that all of those things that you fall short from, like you're not gonna be saved or not saved because of that. Like you're saved because of me and like
Right,
this what I did on the cross. And I mean, it's funny because it's such a simple thing, but we get like tunnel vision. But again, like being able to express those feelings is something we should be able to through music. And I know a lot of people are going to be able to relate to some of those songs.
yeah, I think that's a really interesting juxtaposition with being asked by labels to make the music more Christian radio friendly and more positive and encouraging, as Caleb would have all of their music.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's really valuable, and I think that one of the reasons, besides the way that the music itself sounds, which is a whole nother thing, one of the reasons that people, if they're anything like me, have a hard time relating to a lot of this Christian radio music is because it kind of waters down the human experience. It feels like
Mhm.
you're not getting an authentic picture of what it's like to be a human being struggling with sin, wrestling with God, and I think that's really valuable. That's a really valuable aspect of what a lot of artists in the Christian indie space are bringing to the table at this point. There's a lot of authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people who are willing to share that authentic side of their struggle because of the way that they know it can help other people like them. So I really enjoy a lot of my music is that way. The same it is also that way. So I really appreciate, um, yeah, really appreciate the heart behind this record.
Yeah.
Sonically, this record sounds. I don't want to say it sounds like artists. We've taken a lot of influence from Tame Impala, MGMT. Um, yeah. If you want to speak on some of the sonic direction for the album too.
Yeah, so again, for people that don't know who OM is, like it's gonna sound kind of retro. It's gonna sound kind of like, oh, like it's kind of old, but it's kind of new. As you said, Tame is huge in this project. MGMT, um, who else? I mean, there's some like M83 stuff, but overall, I would say those are like two of the big influences. And I think vocally was me exploring like something that I'd never done before, which again, like singing like that like high falsetto was something that before I didn't have to do because someone else was doing that, you know.
Right.
Because yeah, like I would be the chest voice or whatever, and then someone else would do something else, someone else would do something else because everyone would sing. But to me, being able to explore like the different voices that I can sing in was really cool because I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Oh, like I used to be scared of singing like that, but now
Yeah.
I don't have to be scared. Um, but yeah, those are some of the influences for sure.
Yeah. I think there's also like a lot of it's more subtle than like the Tame Impala influences, but there's a lot of like Latin dance influences as well, which has been
Oh, yeah,
really fun.
for sure, for
Really
sure,
fun.
and that's something I've always wanted to do. I mean, I'm Costa Rican, and like we dance. That's kind of like what we do, and I love the indie stuff. Like Get Better EP was super dope, but like sometimes the indie stuff is just you just kind of like cruising, um, and synthwave was just you just kind of like driving to the sunset, whatever.
Right.
But this like you could like really like bop.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Um, what have been the biggest obstacles in getting this record finished? Because it's been in the
Oh
works for a while.
yeah, I mean, number one thing was just mentally not being there, not wanting to write sometimes. So I had to like really push through that. But also like I guess I would say financially was a struggle at first because everything used to get split. So then having to figure that out and then exploring mixing, um, like letting go of yesterday. Like I mixed that one, and to me, like that was like man, like crazy because someone else would mix before, and I didn't even think that I had it in me to mix. But I think I did a pretty decent job. It's not the best. Like I hear it now, and I'm like, oh man, like I wish I would have done that differently. But that's the first song I ever mixed, and yeah, I guess it was that.
Kind of a crazy situation that popped up with with mixing this record. Um, yeah, so I felt like the Lord called me to leave my job to do music full time, production, engineering, artistry, earlier this year, and I had a project that took care of the first couple of months, but then I was getting really spooked at
Hmm.
the end of last month because I had no idea where the last little bit of income that I needed was coming from. And I reached out to you. I was like, hey, I know that because at that time you had said you felt like you were supposed to be the one to mix the record
Hmm.
because God was teaching you
Hmm.
that it's your heart that he cares about and it's not the perfection in product and just to use what he had given you
Yeah.
to mix it all. And I reached out and I was like, hey, I know you said you feel like you're the one who's supposed to mix this record, but I really need some work right now. Is there any way you'd be able to pay me a little bit to come out and mix the record? And that was before I had joined OM53 officially.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, you had just gotten done, or you were in the middle of a
I
dinner
was in the
with
middle.
Dean.
Yeah, I was in the middle of a conversation with a really good friend of mine that was asking me what was a holdup with the project, or like he was like, "Hey, like I really believe in you, and I want to support like what you're doing. Um, just let me know how much it is, and we'll figure it out." And I was like, "Wow, like God, like you provided." And definitely during a time that I was like, "God, like I need to see some traction with this because like what am I doing? I got like a family, I got things going on in my life, and." It's either like I keep doing OM or like I let it go. Um, and boom, like he provides that way. So this guy tells me, whatever you need, you let me know. You text me immediately. You're like, hey man, I know you said you were gonna mix your own stuff, but like I'd be willing to do it even for like this much. And it was like I opened up my phone and I like showed it to him. I was like, hey, look, like, you know, it all works out. It worked out. So it was definitely a God thing for sure.
Yeah, dude, his timing is so crazy.
Hmm.
So, man, that's so funny. So I was in Jersey for a week mixing the record, um,
Eating Portuguese.
eating Portuguese. Yeah, dude, and Wawa, way too much Wawa food. I don't regret that though.
Yeah.
And then, man, you said you had a family before Jersey. On the way back to the airport, you had to drop me at a gas station at like 4 in the morning. Call me an Uber so that you could rush to the hospital because your
My
wife.
wife's water broke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
I was like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. You gotta get an Uber, dude. I was like, I just pulled over in the gas station and there you went.
Yeah, crazy. That's a crazy little bit of lore.
Yeah, and it's yeah, crazy because the thing is like we were trying to figure out when do we mix this album? Like, do we sit together and mix it like after the baby? And I was like, man, like that's gonna take a while because like we won't have anyone over the house for like a month. So technically this still wouldn't be mixed. So we are like, nah, dude, we have to do it like now. So
Yeah, and
like
originally I wasn't going to come out to Jersey. Originally, I thought it was just going to be remote and I'd be sending you mixes, and you were kind of like, no, I'm really particular and I think it needs to be done in person.
yeah, yeah, because again, I still have the thing of like I need to like also be part of the mixing thing because
Right.
again, you know how it is. But um yeah, so boom boom, you hop on a plane, you come to my house. Dude, the night you leave, my wife's water broke. It's like God was like waiting because imagine if her water would have broke like and dude, that day we worked so much on music
Yeah.
that day and the day before. Like what if like her water would have like broke like the day before, like 2 days, we wouldn't have been able to finish the album like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We worked hard, dude. I was cooked by the time I got
yeah,
home.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was God, dude, God's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely it was. Who are you like listening to right now, or who are you inspired by? It doesn't even have to be music, like films, artists, visual artists, I don't know, like architecture. What's inspiring you right now?
you, just that's it. No, honestly, like, I mean, I'm not like trying to like just like suck up to you, but not like just like the desire to the desire to bring something new to the table and like genuinely like not shy away from being a Christian, making Christian art, like really brings me back to like when I first started and this desire to bring something and that because of all the bumps in the road because of so many things sometimes you lose it or you like forget why you started. So then like God puts you in like here, puts you in my life in this moment and like we're doing this thing together. I'm like, man, it's really inspiring. It really brings you back to what you were supposed to be doing. Um but I mean outside of that I've been listening to like a lot of 70s stuff. Um because I want to make a record that's like very like I don't know, very muted drums. So I'm like really studying like 70s drums. Um learning to play them learning to play them. I've never played drums, but now I can play drums if you want me to play on a song.
Sick.
I'm not good like good drummers, but if we needed to track some stuff, we could. But yeah, a lot of 70s right now for sure.
Fire.
How about you? Besides what we already know, obviously like the new people like Joe, like new like his new album is like disgusting, but
Yeah.
like
So I think yeah, the top few artists right now, dude, going to see Men I Trust in person was so wild. Like
Yeah,
their onstage chemistry, the way that they write their songs. Their opening act is a band called Strong Boy, from Berlin, and I think you would really enjoy them if you're looking for like 70s inspired stuff. On stage, I almost prefer their live sound to their recorded sound. Um, it's like electric piano, guitar, bass, synth, and then they had like three live backing vocalists with auxiliary percussion. They had a flute and a saxophone, so they did some really cool
that's awesome.
like super chill 70s like jazzy bossa stuff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, like you said, Joe's The Crux that came out this year has been on repeat for a long time. The band that he was in before he popped off in Stranger Things and is a solo artist called Post Animal put out a record called Iron that I've been really enjoying this year. Um, what else have I been listening to? I don't know. My taste is kind of all over the place right now. I really enjoyed the new Bieber album.
I enjoyed a lot of the songs. I didn't enjoy it like all of it, because I used to like not hit skip, but I did hit skip like this time sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a few. I couldn't go and tell you which my favorite songs were because I listened to the full album maybe once. I started it a few times, but I only listened all the way through once.
Yeah.
There's a dude named William Wild who dropped a record this year that's really good, who's doing some like vintage indie stuff. Um, there's one oh Leon Thomas, the dude from Victorious,
Hmm.
who I found out he was an actor who has a really cool like all indie R&B sound. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm working on a record as well right now, another 7-track LP, and you're on that. You're on one of the songs for that
Hmm.
one called "Forget You." Um,
Yeah, super excited about that one.
that one's really fun. I think for that one, I was trying to pull a little bit from like the indie R&B sound, a little bit from McGee, who I know the whole world is going crazy over McGee and Dijon right now, especially after they worked on the
Think
Bieber
you think
album.
McGee is gonna be like the next like Antonov?
Dude, I don't know. He very well could be. The funniest
Mm-hmm.
thing though is that McGee is just doing the Phil Collins thing. Like he's not he's doing it in a fresh way, but he's not like this crazy inventive off the walls creative guy who's like yeah, just inventing a bunch of new stuff. It's like he's got a fresh take on an old sound.
Yeah. I don't know if this is in the notes or if like you know you want to keep it all to the notes, but I have a question for you.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
So, how do you feel? How do you feel about the whole Forrest Frank thing?
Oh man. Oh man. Dude, so there was a season where I was really inspired by not his music, but by him as an individual. In May, I went to LA for 2 weeks to vocal engineer a Christian pop record.
Which you
Um,
did a great job.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, that's a story for another time. Hopefully,
Yeah,
uh,
that's
yeah,
gonna be for the subscribers.
yeah. That's the Patreon
That's the Patreon.
conversation.
Yeah.
No, so the day before I left to go to LA, my wife and I went to a Forrest Frank show. I've got a homie in LA who knows his live drummer, and so he got us into the show, which was super cool of him. His live show is super dope. It's a like his musicians are all like Kirk Franklin gospel musicians, and so it's the
Wow.
music is more interesting than like his trap beats with gospel chords over them. And there were some really cool parallels in Forrest's testimony to where I feel like I've been at with music, with my relationship with God. And I left that concert feeling really hopeful and really inspired. And then I kind of got jaded all over again. It seems like Forrest Frank is doing. He's got like a fresh take on the Christian music industry, but it's still very much like cookie cutter song formulas catering towards a very, very specific demographic of people, which apparently has blown up. Like, the fact that he's got more listeners than Drake right now is insane to me. But
On YouTube Music.
yeah, yeah, on YouTube Music, um, which I guess is like the second most used streaming platform. So that's not nothing.
Hmm.
But I think one of the reasons why it's so important that people like you and I exist doing what we're doing is because people like Forrest Frank exist. And Forrest Frank is doing good things. He is fully surrendered to the Lord, and he is bringing the gospel message to a massive group of people who really, really need to hear it.
Hmm.
However, there's a large group of people who hears that kind of music and it just turns them away from Christianity. And this is something that I've thought about a lot, and I'm trying to like start building a community on the other side of things. I think that myself and a lot of other people see stuff like Forrest Frank, and it's just off-putting. It's just it feels like VBS. It feels like it's geared towards kids, and it's good that it's kid friendly, but that isolates a lot of uh, a potential audience of adults, especially adults and young adults who have gone through some stuff, who have seen some crap, who, I don't know, like myself, I'm a skateboarder. I listen to a bunch of like hardcore punk metal stuff. I lived in like hoods for a little bit. I struggled with a lot of like substance stuff, um, like a lot of the darker aspects of real life, and his music doesn't appeal to a lot of those kinds of people.
Hmm.
Um,
And it doesn't have to.
no, and it shouldn't. I think that
Mhm.
it's got an intended audience and it's reaching that intended audience, but it's not. I'm not that intended audience, and I think that there are other people out there who feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm also just kind of over the whole um, Christian music industry insider stuff with him collabing with Toby Mac and David Crowder, and like I'm over that.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, I agree with you. I think Forrest is doing good stuff. Like what he's doing is good. Um, it's subjective to whether it's good or not musically. Obviously, everyone can decide if that's good or not. It's definitely catchy. I've caught myself jumping up and down like a kangaroo with my son to Lemonade, whatever that song is, because my kid loves it. He loves it. He hears it, and there's a formula. He found a formula, and it works. And um, I think I think that his success, and I'm only speaking musically, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
spiritually or whatever God wants to do with his life, that's a completely different thing. And God bless him, and I hope He keeps blessing him. Um, but the success of his music reveals so much about the Christian audience. Like the majority of the Christian audience wants to hear this. Like it's not a um it's not a coincidence that
Right.
it's so popular. The majority of the Christian uh youth groups, parents, this is what they want to hear. Um I'm not too sure if they want to hear a Man I Trust
Right.
or if they want to hear a Mac DeMarco. I don't think they do. I really telling
Right.
you, the group of people that want to hear a Christian Mac DeMarco, a Christian whatever, is very few.
Yep.
It's very few.
It's
Very,
growing. I
very
feel like there's more out there than there used to
of
be.
course. Of course. But it'll never ever. You and
Right.
I will die. And I'd say 80% of Christian people want to hear Forrest Frank over hearing a Christian Man I Trust. Why? Because it's more mainstream. What is mainstream? Something that like reaches the masses.
Right.
Something that's popular. It's pop. It's
In my
whatever.
head, it's like it's fast food music. I think there's fast food music and there's fine dining music. And Forrest Frank makes fast food music that tastes really good, but it's really simple and it's gonna kind of dumb you down if that's all you listen to.
Yeah, if again, for a musician, for a musician, like I don't listen to Forrest Frank to get inspired. Like I'm not getting
Right.
inspired, but most people are not musicians. Most people are
Right.
just normal people that'll put on something and the whatever mood or vibe that gives them, they like that and that's what they want to listen to. So I because most people are not musicians, I'm that's why I'm saying that 80% of people, I just took a number I'm throwing out there, will prefer to listen to that. Um so it tells a lot about the Christian consumer.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for sure.
Um,
I think there's also something to be said for emotional relatability. I think beyond me being a musician, I think that's what it is that I don't connect with about Forrest's music is it's all very
yeah, agreed.
um, jump up and down, happy-go-lucky, joyful music, and that's cool. I think that that's necessary, especially when there's so much darkness in the world right now.
Mhm.
But I think that a lot of people who are jaded with Christianity, who have maybe had an experience with Christians or with the church and have distanced themselves from it, are not going to hear Forrest's music and have it draw them back. I think that
Yeah.
what you and I are doing in providing vulnerability beyond musical complexity, just emotional relatability in our music that's not just super happy bubblegum vibes. I think that's what a lot of other people are really craving.
Hmm. No, I agree. I agree. And however many those people are, that's that. Dude, I remember when I set out to make music and I went into the synthwave thing, I was like, I'm fully aware that this demographic is a big minority, like huge minority, huge minority. It hadn't even and even secular synthwave had not even hit mainstream. None. The one of the biggest bands was the Midnight at the moment, and they had like 200,000 like followers, which
Yeah.
is not small, but it's pretty small if you're the biggest, right?
Right.
Um, so I was like, man, like I have a heart for like the that crowd of people. The people that like I don't know, I don't want to say outcast because it's not, you're not an outcast. You're just I don't know, you're just like the people that don't fit in with
Yeah.
whatever mainstream stuff is.
People
So I
on the
do have a heart for that.
fringes.
Yeah, so I have a heart for that, and if the music I make is for them, awesome. And if my music somehow ends up fitting some radio someday, well, the funny thing is OM, like our music is all over the radio everywhere except United States because of the way that radios work here. Like they're, you have to be on a label to be on radio here because people pay.
Right.
But
Well, I think that's probably about it. It's about an hour long right now.
about it for now.
Yeah, dude, thanks so much for hopping on. Just to recap, Letting Go of Yesterday, 7-track LP by LM53 drops on October 17th via Wings Music Group.
Hmm.
Um, we probably did about 50-50 production on that record. And
Yeah.
yeah, where can people find OM53's music?
Anywhere you stream music or purchase music, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Napster, Pandora, anywhere. But if you want to support, Bandcamp is amazing because Bandcamp, whenever you purchase any of our music, we get we get the money. Like we get pretty much most of the money. I think they what is 10% they take or something, but
I think. And there are days when they totally waive their fees.
Fridays, Bandcamp Fridays. I think once a month they do that, and the artist takes everything, which is super dope. Um, and Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Find us there
Yeah, what's your handle on Instagram and TikTok?
at OM53
Fire.
underscore, I think. because some like Indian guy had taken OM53.
Nice.
Dude, a lot of people like thought Om, like it was like Om, like we were like meditating. I was like, nah. Yeah, like how do we say it? Like Om, like you're meditating? I'm like, nah, dude.
No.
OM 53.
On mission.
On mission, Isaiah 53.
Yep. Well, sick, dude. Thanks so much for pulling up. We'll do this again sometime.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm gonna have to have you on our
Yeah.
show,
Yeah. Get me off of
on our
this.
channel.
No more of the phone camera thing. We'll get me looking as crisp as you do in that frame.
Yeah.
Sick.
All right, bro.
All right.